baseball cap sat on the dashboard of my car this morning. Simple, familiar, worn from years of use. As sunlight poured through the windshield, I found myself staring at it for a moment. And unexpectedly, it reminded me of protection. Not because the cap is extraordinary, because it serves a purpose. Shielding the eyes from harsh sunlight, helping a person see more clearly. And suddenly I thought about God's guidance, how often He protects me from things I never notice, roads I never travel, mistakes I never make, troubles I never encounter. Not because I am wise enough to avoid them, because He is faithful enough to guide me. The road stretched ahead, the morning was beautiful, and gratitude filled my heart, because I realized how many dangers God has quietly protected me from through the years. Things I never saw, things I never understood, things I may never fully know. Yet His hand remained present, the cap remained on the dashboard, a reminder that protection is often invisible. And God's faithfulness often works behind the scenes. The future still contains unknown roads, yet tonight I travel them with confidence, because the God who protected me yesterday continues protecting me today. This morning, while pouring a cup of coffee, I glanced through the kitchen window and noticed a small bird feeder hanging from a tree branch. A few birds had already gathered there. Some arrived briefly, some stayed longer, some flew away and returned again. The scene was peaceful, ordinary, yet somehow it captured my attention. As I watched them, I remember the words of Jesus, words about birds, words about trust, words about a heavenly Father who notices even the smallest details of creation. The birds did not seem worried, they were not rushing, not anxious, not overwhelmed. They simply received what had been provided. And I realized how often I make life more complicated than God intended. worry about tomorrow. I worry about situations beyond my control. I worry about outcomes I cannot predict. Yet God remains faithful. The same God who cares for birds continues caring for His children. The feeders swayed gently in the morning breeze. Sunlight danced across its meadow surface, and gratitude filled my heart, because I remembered all the times God provided when I thought resources would run out. All the times He opened doors I could not open myself. All the times He supplied strength when mine was gone. The years have taught me that God's provision rarely fails. My understanding sometimes fails. My patience sometimes fails. My perspective sometimes fails. But His faithfulness remains. The birds continued coming and going. The morning continued unfolding, and peace settled into my heart. Because the God who watches over creation still watches over me, and He has never forgotten my needs, not once. There was an old coat hanging in the corner of the train station. I noticed it because nobody seemed to be claiming it. People walked past, trains arrived, trains departed. Announcements echoed through the building, and the coat remained there, alone. For some reason I kept looking at it. Maybe because I had once left something behind too. Not a coat, a season of my life. Years ago I stood in that same kind of station, carrying a small suitcase and a heart full of uncertainty. I was leaving a city where I had spent several years. I thought I was leaving because I had chosen to. The truth was different, a door had closed, an opportunity had disappeared. Plans I had carefully built had fallen apart. I remember sitting on a bench, waiting for my train, and wondering why God had allowed everything to collapse. I had prayed for that opportunity, I had worked for it, I had believed it was the answer. Then suddenly it was gone. I didn't understand, I felt embarrassed, disappointed, even angry. I remember looking through the station window and whispering, Lord, what am I supposed to do now? I received no explanation, only silence. The train eventually arrived. I got on and I left. For months afterward I struggled with what had happened. I kept thinking about the door that had closed. I kept imagining what my life would have looked like if it had stayed open. And something unexpected happened. A different opportunity appeared. It was smaller, less impressive, not what I had imagined, but I accepted it. And slowly my life began changing. New people entered my story. New responsibilities came. New abilities developed. And eventually I realized something. The door I had been mourning was leading somewhere I was never meant to go. God had not taken something good away from me. He had protected me from building my future around something that wasn't part of His plan. Years later, I understood the closed door, but I could only understand it because I had walked far enough away from it. That is the strange thing about faith. Sometimes you cannot see God's wisdom while you are standing inside the disappointment. You see it later, after the tears, after the waiting, after the next chapter begins. The abandoned coat remained in the station that day. Eventually someone came looking for it, but I carried the image with me, a reminder that not everything left behind is a loss. Some things are simply no longer meant to travel with us. Some relationships, some dreams, some plans, some versions of ourselves. God sometimes asks us to leave them behind, not because He wants less for us, because He wants to lead us somewhere new. Today, there's still things I don't understand. There's still doors I wish had opened. There's still prayers whose answers look different from what I imagined. But I trust God more now, because I have evidence from my own story. The road I feared became the road that strengthened me. The disappointment became a doorway. The ending became a beginning. And the place where I thought everything had gone wrong became the place where God quietly redirected my life. So if you are standing beside a closed door today, don't assume God has abandoned you. Maybe He is simply asking you to turn around. Maybe the road ahead is waiting. Maybe what feels like an ending is actually an invitation. You may not understand it today. That's okay. You don't have to keep walking. Keep trusting the God who knows where the road leads is already there. And someday, when you look back, you may realize that the thing you thought you lost was the very thing God used to lead you home.
Last Sunday morning, as I entered church, I noticed the coat rack standing quietly near the entrance. Several jackets hung neatly upon it, some heavy, some light, some old, some new. And as I looked at them, I thought about burdens, 'cause every person entering that building carried something unseen. Worries, questions, responsibilities, heartaches, dreams. no one could see them, yet God could. The coat rack reminded me of Jesus' invitation to bring our burdens to Him. Not hide them, not carry them alone. Bring them, the sanctuary slowly filled with people. Conversations echoed softly through the hallway, and gratitude filled my heart, because I remembered all the burdens God has already helped me carry. Situations that once felt impossible, fears that once seemed overwhelming, yet somehow His grace proves sufficient again and again. The older I become, the more I appreciate God's willingness to carry what I cannot. His strength where mine fails, His peace where mine disappears, His wisdom where mine falls short. The coat rack remained near the door, a simple reminder we were never designed to carry everything alone. And tonight I am grateful for a Savior who gladly carries what I place into His hands.
This morning, as I prepared my coffee, I noticed a small spoon resting beside my favorite mug. A simple spoon, nothing valuable, nothing impressive. The kind of object most people never think about. Yet somehow it caught my attention. Perhaps because the house was quiet, perhaps because the morning felt peaceful, or perhaps because God wanted to remind me of something important. The spoon had one purpose: to stir, to mix, to bring together what was separate. And suddenly I began thinking about seasons of change, because life often feels like that cup of coffee. Different ingredients, different experiences, different emotions, all being stirred together. Some sweet, some bitter, some difficult to understand. Yet somehow God uses all of them. The years have taught me that not every experience makes sense while it is happening. Some lessons arrive through joy, others arrive through disappointment. Some arrive through victory, others arrive through waiting. God continues stirring every part of the story, creating something beautiful from moments that seem unrelated. The sunlight slowly filled the kitchen. The coffee released its familiar aroma, and gratitude filled my heart, because I realized that God's hands have been present through every chapter, even the confusing chapters, especially those chapters. The spoon remained beside the mug, a reminder that God wastes nothing. Nothing, not a tear, not a prayer, not a disappointment, not a season of waiting. He uses it all. And tonight, that truth gives me peace. Earlier this week, while looking for something in a storage room, I found a folding chair leaning against the wall, unused, folded, waiting. At first glance it seemed insignificant, yet it reminded me of seasons when I felt the same way. Waiting, preparing, wondering when my opportunity would come. The chair had a purpose. It simply was not being used at that moment. And perhaps many people feel that way today. Gifted but waiting, prepared but waiting, ready but waiting. The years have taught me that waiting does not mean forgotten. Waiting does not mean abandoned. Waiting does not mean useless. Often it means preparation. God frequently prepares people before He positions them. He develops character before opportunity. He develops faith before responsibility. He develops wisdom before influence. The storage room remains quiet, the chair remains folded, and gratitude fills my heart. 'Cause I remember seasons when I thought nothing was happening, yet God was working behind the scenes, arranging details, opening doors, preparing the next chapter. The future still contains opportunities I cannot yet see, but tonight I am not discouraged by waiting, because I know God is still working. The folding chair reminds me that purpose does not disappear during seasons of preparation. Purpose remains,
calling remains, promise remains. And when God's timing arrives, what has been prepared in secret will become visible in the light.
This afternoon, while waiting in a checkout line, I noticed an empty grocery basket resting beside the register. Most people walk past it without a second glance. I almost did too. Yet something about it caught my attention. Perhaps it was because the basket was empty, ready, available, waiting for someone to pick it up and begin filling it. And suddenly I thought about new beginnings. Life has a way of filling our hands with many things. Responsibilities, expectations, disappointments, memories. Sometimes we carry so much that we forget God still wants to do something new. The empty basket reminded me that every new season begins with space. Space for growth, space for learning, space for God's next blessing. The store was busy, people moved in every direction. Yet for a moment, everything felt still. And I remembered seasons when God asked me to release old fears before receiving new opportunities. Release old disappointments before receiving new hope. Release old expectations before receiving new direction. The years have taught me that God often fills what we are willing to surrender. The basket remained near the register, waiting, ready, prepared. And tonight I want my heart to remain the same. Open, available, ready for whatever God chooses to place in the next chapter. Because His plans have always been better than my fears. This afternoon, I noticed a grocery receipt trapped beneath the windshield wiper of my car. The wind had carried it there somehow. It fluttered gently whenever a breeze passed. Simple, unimportant, easy to ignore, yet it reminded me of how quickly life moves. Yesterday's purchases, yesterday's concerns, yesterday's priorities, most of them fade faster than we expect. There was a time when I believed certain problems would define my future forever. Certain disappointments, certain setbacks, certain fears. Yet many of those concerns now exist only as memories. The years have taught me that temporary things often appear permanent while we are living through them. But God sees the entire story. He sees beyond today's challenge, beyond today's frustration, beyond today's uncertainty. The receipt beneath the windshield reminded me that God's perspective is larger than mine, much larger. The afternoon sunlight reflected across the glass. Cars moved through the parking lot, and gratitude filled my heart, because I realized how many worries God has already carried me through. How many storms have already passed, how many prayers have already found answers. The future may still contain challenges, yet today's faithfulness becomes tomorrow's confidence. And God's faithfulness has never failed, not once. A few weeks ago, I met an old friend for lunch. We sat near a window in a small restaurant. The conversation lasted much longer than expected. Stories, memories, laughter, honest reflections about life. At one point I noticed my jacket hanging on the back of the chair beside me. Nothing unusual. Yet later that evening, the image returned to my mind, because that jacket represented rest. For a few hours I had set aside responsibilities, set aside worries, set aside deadlines, and simply enjoyed fellowship. The older I become, the more I appreciate relationships. Not superficial conversations, real relationships, the kind that encourage faith, strengthen hope, remind us we are not walking alone. God often works through people, friends, mentors, family members, brothers and sisters in Christ. The restaurant eventually closed, the meal ended, the day moved on, yet the blessing remained. The jacket hanging on the chair became a reminder. Life was never meant to be lived in isolation. God designed people for community, for encouragement, for shared faith. And tonight I am grateful for every person God has used to strengthen my journey.
Last winter, I found an old coat hanging in the back of the closet. I had forgotten about it. It was one of those coats I used to wear when the mornings were colder and the days seemed longer. The fabric had faded around the sleeves and one of the buttons was missing. It was not worth much anymore. Still I pulled it from the hanger. I slipped my hand into the pockets and there it was, a small brass key. I did not recognize it at first. I turned it over between my fingers, wondering what door it belonged to. Then slowly the memory came back. It was the key to an apartment I had lived in years ago. A place where I had prayed more than I had slept. A place where I had wondered more than I had understood. A place where I had asked God questions I was afraid to say out loud. I remembered those evenings, sitting alone beside a small window, bills on the table, a half-empty cup of coffee beside an old Bible. Plans that had failed, doors that had closed, prayers that seemed to disappear into silence. Back then I thought I was waiting for God to change everything. I did not realize He was changing me. I wanted a new situation. He was building a new heart. I wanted certainty. He was teaching me trust. I wanted the road to become clear. He was teaching me how to walk when I could only see a few steps ahead. Holding that little key today brought all of it back, and I smiled, because the apartment is gone now, the worries are gone, the bills were eventually paid. The doors I thought would never open eventually did. Some dreams came true, others were replaced by something better. And the person who once sat in that little apartment is not the same person standing here today. God carried me quietly, patiently, faithfully. I thought about all the nights I wondered whether He had forgotten me. He had not. All the mornings I wondered whether anything was changing. It was all the moments I thought I was standing still. He was preparing me. The key no longer opens a door. That chapter is finished. But somehow holding it today feels like holding a testimony. A reminder that closed doors do not mean God has stopped working. Sometimes a door closes because the room behind it is no longer where He is leading you. Sometimes God removes something familiar because He is preparing something new. I put the key on the table beside me. For a moment I thought about throwing it away, but I couldn't, not because I need it, because I need the reminder. There are still doors in front of me. There are still prayers waiting for answers. There are still dreams I have placed in God's hands. And sometimes I still wonder how everything will work out. But now I know something I did not know back then. God does not need me to understand the entire journey. He only asked me to trust the one who knows where it leads. So I keep walking, I keep praying, I keep believing. And when another door closes, I will remember the little key from the old code. I will remember that one chapter ending never meant the story was over. It simply meant God was turning the page. And if He was faithful then, He will be faithful now. And He will be faithful in everything that comes next. Because the God who carried me through that little apartment is still walking beside me today. And whatever door waits ahead, I know He already knows the way through it.
Several months ago, while driving through the countryside, I noticed a tall ladder leaning against the side of an old barn. The image stayed with me, simple, quiet, yet meaningful. The ladder connected two places, the ground below, the roof above. And as I continued driving, I thought about perspective, because many problems look different when viewed from a higher place. At ground level, obstacles seem enormous, challenges seem permanent, questions seem overwhelming. Yet God sees everything from a perspective far above our own. The years have taught me that fear often grows when my focus remains too close to the problem. But faith grows when I remember God's perspective, His wisdom, His understanding, His ability to see what I cannot. The ladder reminded me of prayer, because prayer lifts our eyes, lifts our thoughts, lifts our perspective, not away from reality, toward God's reality. The sky stretched wide above the fields, the barn stood quietly beneath it, and gratitude filled my heart, because God has often changed my perspective before changing my circumstances. And sometimes that becomes the greatest miracle. The ladder remains in my memory, a reminder that God's view is higher, wiser, clearer, and
it is. I can trust him even when I cannot see the entire picture.
Late last night, while driving home, I passed a pharmacy with a bright sign glowing against the darkness. The store was still open, the parking lot was nearly empty, yet the light remained visible from far away. As I drove past, I thought about healing, not only physical healing, the healing God brings to wounded hearts. We all carry places that need healing. Disappointments, losses, regrets, painful memories, invisible wounds. Some heal quickly, others require time, yet God's grace remains present through every stage of the process. The sign continued shining in the darkness, and it reminded me that hope often appears before healing is complete. A small sign, a small encouragement, a small reminder that restoration is possible. The years have taught me that God rarely wastes pain. He uses it, shapes it, redeems it, transforms it into something meaningful. The road stretched ahead, the city lights reflected on the windshield, and gratitude filled my heart, because I remembered how many wounds God has already healed, how many burdens He has already lifted, how many broken places He has already restored. The future may still contain areas needing healing, yet tonight I remain hopeful, because the great physician remains faithful, and His grace continues working long after human strength reaches its limits. I found the note under my windshield wiper on a Tuesday morning. At first I thought it was a parking notice. I almost threw it away, but there was no official logo, no warning, just a small handwritten message. Keep going, someone is praying for you. I stood beside my car and read it twice, then a third time. I had no idea who had written it. There was no name, no explanation, just those words. And somehow they reached a place in me that had been tired for a very long time. That morning, I had been carrying more than anyone knew. Work had become difficult, money was tight. A decision I had been waiting on had been delayed again. I'd smiled at people, answered messages, completed my responsibilities, but inside I was exhausted. I'd reached the point where even praying felt like work. I knew what I believed, I knew what scripture said, but my heart was tired. So I stood beside my car, holding that little note, and I wondered whether God had sent someone to remind me that I was not forgotten. Maybe the person who wrote it had no idea what I was going through. Maybe they simply felt like leaving an encouraging message. Maybe it was coincidence. But I have learned that God can use ordinary moments to speak extraordinary encouragement. That note stayed with me all day. I placed it inside my wallet. Every time I reached for something, I saw it. Keep going. Someone is praying for you. Those words became a quiet companion. That evening I finally told God what I had been afraid to say. I am tired, not polished, not theological, just honest. And something changed. The circumstances didn't change immediately. The answer didn't arrive that night. The money didn't suddenly appear. The decision wasn't suddenly resolved, but my heart became lighter. I realized that faith does not require pretending to be strong. Faith allows us to admit when we are weak. It allows us to say, Lord, I cannot carry this by myself. And then trust Him to carry what we cannot. Weeks later, the situation began improving. One thing happened, then another. A conversation opened, an opportunity appeared. A delayed answer finally arrived. Nothing looked dramatic, but together those small moments formed a path. Looking back, I can see God's kindness everywhere, including in that little note. I still don't know who wrote it. Perhaps I never will, but I am grateful, because sometimes God sends encouragement to people who never realize how important their words will become. Maybe that is why we should never underestimate a simple act of kindness. A message, a phone call, a prayer, a sentence spoken at the right moment. You may think your words are small. God may use them to keep someone walking. So if someone comes to mind today, encourage them, send a message, make a call, pray for them, tell them they matter. Because someone may be standing beside their own car right now, wondering whether they can take another step. And perhaps God wants you to remind them, keep going. You are not forgotten. He is still with you, and the road is not over. Beside the telephone, on a small table, sits a notebook. Most of its pages are filled with names, phone numbers, appointments, small reminders, ordinary information. Yet tonight, as I flip through its pages, I noticed something else. Several pages contained prayer requests, names written years ago, situations I had almost forgotten, concerns that once felt enormous. As I read through them, I found myself smiling, because so many of those prayers had already been answered. Not always quickly, not always the way I expected, but faithfully. The notebook became a testimony, a record of God's goodness, a record of His timing, a record of His care. The room felt quiet, the evening lamp cast a warm glow across the pages, and gratitude filled my heart, because memory strengthens faith. When I remember what God has already done, trusting Him becomes easier. The future still contains unanswered prayers, names still waiting for breakthroughs, stories still unfolding. Yet tonight, I face those unknowns differently, because I have evidence, evidence written across old pages, evidence of a God who hears, a God who remembers, a God who responds. The notebook eventually closes, but its lesson remains. God's faithfulness deserves to be remembered, and every answered prayer becomes a reason to trust Him again.
Several months ago, while riding a crowded bus across the city, I noticed a single empty seat near the back. Every other seat was occupied. People stood in the aisle. The vehicle was full, yet one seat remained available, waiting. As I sat down, I began thinking about how often God provides space when we need it most. Space to breathe, space to think, space to heal, space to rest. Life can become crowded with responsibilities, crowded with expectations, crowded with noise. And in those moments, God's presence often becomes a place of rest, a place where weary hearts can sit down and breathe again. bus continued moving through the city. Buildings passed by the windows. People entered and exited at every stop. Yet peace settled into my heart, because I realized how many times God had provided exactly what I needed. Not abundance, not excess, exactly what I needed at exactly the right moment. The years have taught me that God's provision often looks simple: a conversation, a prayer, a friend, a quiet moment, an open seat. The world teaches us to overlook ordinary blessings, yet many of God's greatest gifts arrive disguised as ordinary moments. The bus eventually reached my destination. The ride ended, the seat became available for someone else. Yet the lesson remained: God knows what His children need, and He delights in providing it again and again, faithfully. The city grows quiet tonight, and gratitude fills my heart, because the God who provided yesterday remains faithful today. And He will remain faithful tomorrow.
This afternoon, while organizing my desk, I noticed a small pencil cup sitting quietly in the corner. Nothing remarkable, just a container holding pens, pencils, markers, and a few forgotten notes. It has been there for years. Most days I never pay attention to it, yet today something about it made me stop. Perhaps it was the sunlight shining across the desk. Perhaps it was the quietness of the room. Or perhaps God wanted to remind me of something. As I looked inside the cup, I noticed that every pencil had a different story. Some were nearly new, others were worn down from use. Some had sharp points, others needed sharpening. And suddenly I realized how much they resemble people. God uses each person differently. Some seasons require writing, some seasons require learning, some seasons require correction, some seasons require preparation. Yet every life remains valuable in His hands. There have been times when I compared my journey to others, compared my progress, compared my opportunities, compared my gifts. But God never asked me to be someone else. He simply asked me to remain available. The pencil does not choose lose its assignment. It simply allows itself to be used. The room remains quiet. The desk lamp glows softly, and gratitude fills my heart. Because I realize how many times God has used ordinary people to accomplish extraordinary things. People who simply remained available. People who simply remained faithful. People who trusted Him with the outcome. The pencil cup remains in the corner, a simple reminder. God is not looking for perfection. Today, while searching through a desk drawer, I found a small pencil sharpener, an ordinary object, easy to overlook. Yet as I held it in my hand, I thought about growth. Because sharpening is not always comfortable. It involves friction, pressure, change. Yet the purpose is improvement. The years have taught me that God often develops His children through seasons that feel uncomfortable. Seasons that challenge assumptions, seasons that stretch faith, seasons that require patience. At the time, those experiences rarely feel pleasant. Yet later we discover their value. We discover wisdom, maturity, strength, character. The pencil sharpener reminded me of prayers I once prayed. Prayers asking God to help me grow, help me become wiser, help me trust Him more deeply. Those prayers were answered, not always through comfort, often through experiences that shaped me. The room remains quiet tonight. The drawer remains open, and gratitude fills my heart. Because every season of growth carried God's faithfulness. Every challenge carried purpose. Every lesson carried value. The sharpener eventually returns to its place, but the reminder remains. God is still shaping, still refining, still preparing His children for the work ahead. And because His hands are trustworthy, I can trust the process too. I was cleaning the living room on a Saturday afternoon when I noticed something strange behind an old picture frame. The frame had been sitting on the shelf for years. The photograph inside showed people smiling at a family gathering from another time. Some faces were younger, some were no longer with us. Some had moved to places I had never visited. I lifted the frame to clean the glass, and a smaller photograph slipped from behind it. I picked it up. It was a picture I had completely forgotten. A young woman stood beside me. We were standing outside an old church. The photograph was faded, the corners were bent, but I remembered that day immediately. It was the morning I almost walked away from everything. I had been disappointed, tired, confused. I remember telling God that I did not understand what He was doing. I remember sitting alone on the church steps after everyone else had gone inside. I remember thinking that maybe my prayers were simply words disappearing into the air. Then she came outside, she sat beside me. She did not give me a long speech. She simply said, "You don't have to understand today." Those words stayed with me. I went back inside, I stayed, and somehow that ordinary morning became one of the turning points of my life. Looking at the photograph years later, I realized something. God had answered me before I even recognized the answer. I had asked for a sign. He sent a person. I had asked for strength. He sent encouragement. I had asked for direction. He gave me enough light for the next step. Not the entire road, just the next step. That was enough. I sat on the floor holding the photograph. The room around me was quiet. Dust floated through a beam of afternoon light, and suddenly I felt overwhelmed by gratitude. How many times had God answered prayers through ordinary people? How many times had He opened doors through conversations? How many times had He protected me by changing my plans? How many times had He allowed disappointment to redirect me towards something I could not yet see? I thought about the younger person in that photograph. She had no idea what the next decade would bring. Neither did I. We thought life would follow the plans we had made. It didn't. Some dreams disappeared. Some relationships changed. Some prayers took years. Some answers looked nothing like what we expected. Yet somehow, through all of it, God remained faithful. The photograph was small, the memory was old, but the lesson felt new. God does not always announce His presence. Sometimes He simply sits beside you on the steps. Sometimes He sends a friend. Sometimes He delays something you desperately wanted. Sometimes He closes a door that you thought was your only chance. And sometimes years later, you discover that what looked like silence was actually guidance. I placed the photograph back behind the frame, not because I wanted to hide it, because I wanted to keep it there as a reminder. There are still things I don't understand. There are still prayers I carry. There are still days when I wonder what God is doing. But I no longer believe that silence means absence. I have learned that God can be working quietly. He can be preparing something while I am waiting. He can be protecting me while I am disappointed. He can be answering a prayer before I even recognize the answer. So today, I choose trust. Not because I know what tomorrow holds, because I know who holds tomorrow. And when the road becomes confusing again, I
faded photograph. I will remember the church steps. I will remember the quiet words, and I will remember that God was there. He was there then. He is here now, and He will still be there when the next chapter begins.
There is a small plant growing on the kitchen windowsill. Nothing remarkable, just a simple green plant in a plain ceramic pot. Most days I hardly notice it, yet this morning, while preparing breakfast, I stopped and looked at it. The sunlight touched its leaves, the stem leaned slightly toward the window, quietly reaching for the light. And suddenly I realized how much it reminded me of faith. Faith grows much like that plant, not overnight, not dramatically, gradually, steadily, one day at a time. The plant did not become healthy through one afternoon of sunlight. It grew through consistent exposure, day after day, week after week. And spiritual growth often works the same way. Prayer, scripture, worship, trust, small acts repeated faithfully. The changes may seem invisible at first, yet over time growth becomes undeniable. The kitchen felt peaceful. Morning light filled the room, and gratitude filled my heart, because I realized how patient God has been with me. Patient through my mistakes, patient through my doubts, patient through my slow growth. The years have taught me that God values progress more than perfection. He understands the process, He understands the seasons, He understands the pace of growth. The plant continues reaching toward the sunlight, and perhaps that is what God asks of His children. Simply keep turning toward Him, seeking His presence, trusting His guidance. Growth will come. The future still contains opportunities to grow, lessons to learn, faith to strengthen. Yet tonight I am encouraged, because the gardener remains faithful, and what he plants, he continues nurturing. This afternoon, while putting on an old jacket, I reached into the pocket and found a faded receipt. The paper was worn, the ink had begun disappearing, yet the date remained visible. Years ago, a completely different season of life. The receipt came from a small restaurant I once visited during a difficult chapter. I remember sitting alone at a table near the window, thinking, praying, wondering what the future would hold. At the time, uncertainty felt enormous. The road ahead seemed unclear. The answers I wanted seemed distant, yet somehow, sitting there, God gave me peace. Not answers, peace. The kind of peace that arrives before circumstances change. The kind of peace that remains while questions remain unanswered. Holding the receipt today brought all those memories back, and it reminded me how faithful God has been. The things that worried me that no longer exist. The fears that felt overwhelming have faded. The prayers I carried eventually found answers. Not always the answers I expected, but good answers, wise answers, grace-filled answers. The jacket hangs quietly by the door. The receipt rests in my hand, and gratitude fills my heart, because God's faithfulness becomes easier to see when looking backward. The years reveal what fear often hides. God was working, God was guiding, God was present. The future still contains uncertainties, yet today's memory strengthens tomorrow's faith. Because the God who carried me through previous chapters remains present in the chapter I am living now, and that truth brings peace. Several years ago, I taped a receipt to the refrigerator. Most people would have thrown it away. I almost did. Yet that receipt represented something important. A prayer answered, a provision received, a moment of God's faithfulness. The amount printed on the paper was not large, but the timing was perfect. Had a moment when resources felt limited. Had a moment when uncertainty felt heavy. God provided exactly when needed. The receipt remained on the refrigerator for months, not because of the purchase, because of the reminder, a reminder that God sees needs before they become emergencies, a reminder that God provides in ways both ordinary and extraordinary, a reminder that faithfulness deserves to be remembered. The kitchen is quiet tonight. The refrigerator hums softly in the background, and gratitude fills my heart, because there are countless receipts in my story, countless moments of provision, countless examples of grace, countless reminders that God has never abandoned His children. The paper itself is long gone now, yet the lesson remains. God provides, God cares, God remains faithful, and every answered prayer becomes another reason to trust Him, with the prayer still waiting for tomorrow. On the front porch sits an old rocking chair. It has been there for many years, long enough to witness changing seasons, long enough to witness countless sunrises and sunsets, long enough to witness life. This evening, as I sat there watching the sky change colors, I began thinking about patience. The rocking chair moves slowly back and forth, back and forth, never rushing, never hurrying. And somehow God used that simple motion to rmind me of something. Many of His greatest works require patience. Seeds need time, healing needs time, growth needs time, faith needs time. We often want immediate results, immediate answers, immediate breakthroughs, yet God's timing remains steady, wise, perfect. The porch felt peaceful. The evening breeze moved gently through nearby trees, and gratitude filled my heart, because I remembered seasons when patience felt impossible, seasons when waiting felt endless. Yet every one of those seasons eventually revealed God's faithfulness.
breakthrough arrived, the lesson arrived, the blessing arrived at exactly the right time. The rocking chair continued moving beneath me, and peace settled into my heart, because I realized that God has never asked me to control the timing, only to trust Him through it. And He has always proven trustworthy.
Tonight, while putting dishes away after dinner, I noticed a stack of plates neatly arranged inside the cabinet. Simple plates, ordinary plates, used countless times. Yet as I looked at them, I began thinking about provision. Because every plate tells a story, meals shared, conversations enjoyed, family gathered, blessings received. There were seasons in my life when I worried about provision, wondered how needs would be met, wondered whether resources would be enough. Yet somehow God always provided, not always abundantly, not always dramatically, but faithfully. The plates reminded me of countless meals God has supplied through the years. Meals during seasons of abundance, meals during seasons of uncertainty, meals during seasons when His provision arrived at exactly the right moment. The kitchen is quiet now, the dishes are clean, the day is ending, and gratitude fills my heart, because I realize how much of God's faithfulness has appeared around ordinary tables. The world often overlooks ordinary blessings, yet many of God's greatest gifts arrive in ordinary forms. Daily bread, daily strength, daily grace. The stack of plates remains inside the cabinet, a simple reminder God continues providing. One meal, one day, one season at a time, and His faithfulness never fails. There was a suitcase beneath the staircase that nobody had touched in years. It belonged to my father. I discovered it while cleaning the house one afternoon. Dust covered the handle, the leather had cracked in places, the corners were worn. I pulled it out and opened it. Inside were old clothes, a notebook, a few photographs, and a small envelope. I sat on the floor and began looking through everything. The photographs took me back to another time. My father was younger, I was younger. Our family was different. Life was simpler in some ways, more complicated in others. Then I opened the notebook. Most of the pages contained ordinary things. Expenses, appointments, names, short reminders. But near the middle I found something unexpected, a prayer. My father had written it years earlier. It was a prayer for our family, for our future, for protection, for wisdom. I read it slowly, and then I stopped, because some of the things he had prayed for had actually happened. Not exactly the way he had imagined, but they had happened. He had asked God to protect his children. He had asked God to guide us. He had asked God to help our family remain together through difficult seasons. And now, years later, I could see how many times God had answered. There were moments when we thought everything was falling apart, yet somehow we remained. There were seasons when money was scarce, yet somehow we survived. There were disagreements that could have separated us, yet somehow reconciliation came. I had forgotten many of those moments, but my father's prayer had remembered them. I sat there beneath the staircase for a long time. The house was quiet. Dust floated through the afternoon light, and I felt something I had not expected. Gratitude, not only for my father, for the God he trusted. Because my father had not known how the story would unfold, he simply prayed, he trusted. He kept going. That prayer reminded me that faith is sometimes an inheritance. Not money, not property, faith. Someone believes before you understand. Someone prays before you know what you need. Someone trusts God for a future they may never fully see. And sometimes years later, you discover that their prayers became part of the foundation beneath your life. I closed the notebook. The suitcase remained open beside me. I thought about my own prayers. What will they look like years from now? What will my children remember? Will they remember my worries, my frustrations, my successes? Will they remember that I trusted God? That question stayed with me. I don't want to leave behind only possessions. I want to leave behind faith. A testimony that says, when we did not know what to do, we trusted God. When we were afraid, we prayed. When the road was uncertain, we kept walking. The suitcase eventually went back beneath the staircase, but the notebook stayed with me. I placed it somewhere safe. Not because I needed the old pages, because I needed the reminder. God sees prayers that outlive the people who prayed them. He sees seeds planted in faith. He sees tears no one remembers. He sees sacrifices no one applauded. And he
can carry those prayers into generations. So tonight, I think about my father's handwriting. The ink has faded, the pages have aged, but the faith behind them still speaks. And I know what I want to do. I want to keep praying, keep trusting, keep believing, because I may never know the full impact of today's prayers, but God does, and that is enough.
Tonight, while putting dishes away after dinner, I noticed a stack of plates neatly arranged inside the cabinet. Simple plates, ordinary plates, used countless times. Yet as I looked at them, I began thinking about provision. 'Cause every plate tells a story, meals shared, conversations enjoyed, family gathered, blessings received. There were seasons in my life when I worried about provision, wondered how needs would be met, wondered whether resources would be enough. Yet somehow God always provided, not always abundantly, not always dramatically, but faithfully. The plates reminded me of countless meals God has supplied through the years. Meals during seasons of abundance, meals during seasons of uncertainty, meals during seasons when His provision arrived at exactly the right moment. The kitchen is quiet now, the dishes are clean, the day is ending and gratitude fills my heart, because I realize how much of God's faithfulness has appeared around ordinary tables. The world often overlooks ordinary blessings, yet many of God's greatest gifts arrive in ordinary forms. Daily bread, daily strength, daily grace. The stack of plates remains inside the cabinet, a simple reminder God continues providing. One meal, one day, one season at a time, and His faithfulness never fails. Every evening there is a light that comes on across the street. It belongs to an elderly neighbor. I don't know much about him. We have exchanged greetings, sometimes we talk briefly, but most evenings our lives simply pass quietly beside each other. His house is small, the front porch is simple, and every night sometime around sunset, one light appears behind the front window. I noticed it during a difficult season. I was coming home late from work, the streets were quiet, my mind was full. I had spent the entire day worrying about something and I could not control. Then I saw that light. It was ordinary, just one warm rectangle glowing through the darkness, but somehow it comforted me. I began noticing it every evening. There it was. Night after night, steady, quiet, faithful. It reminded me of God's presence, not loud, not dramatic, just there. The next morning I prayed differently. Instead of asking God to solve everything, I simply said, "Thank you for staying." That became my prayer for several weeks. Thank you for staying, because sometimes that is what we need most. Not an explanation, not an immediate miracle, the assurance that we are not alone. The situations eventually changed, but the light remained part of my memory. Years later, I still think about it. One evening, I finally met the neighbor properly. We spoke on the sidewalk. He told me he had lived there for almost 30 years. I asked him why he always left the same light on. He smiled. My wife used to say it made the house feel welcoming. She had passed away several years earlier, but he kept the light on. I didn't know what to say, so I simply stood there. And suddenly that little light meant something completely different. It was not only a light in a window, it was memory, love, faithfulness, a quiet way of saying that someone was still remembered. I walked home thinking about how many things in life carry meanings we cannot see. A light, a photograph, a chair, a song, a key, a handwritten note. Ordinary things can carry extraordinary stories. And perhaps that is how God's presence often works too. We may not recognize what He is doing while we are living through it, but later we look back and suddenly the pieces connect. That difficult season taught patience. That closed door redirected the journey. That lonely night deepened prayer. That unexpected conversation restored hope. The light across the street still comes on, and whenever I see it, I remember some things do not need to be loud to be powerful. Faith can be quiet, hope can be quiet, love can be quiet, and God's presence can be quiet too. But quiet does not mean weak. It means steady, it means enduring, it means still there. So tonight, if your life feels dark, look for the small light. The small reason to hope, the small reminder that God is not left. You may not see the whole road. You may not understand the whole story, but you don't need to. One light is enough for the next step. And sometimes that is all God gives us. Not because he has forgotten us, because he knows exactly how much light we need. Keep walking, keep trusting. His presence is still there. Several years ago, I sat alone near a large window inside an airport terminal. Flights arrived, flights departed. People hurried from one gate to another. The entire building seemed filled with movement. Yet I remained seated, waiting. My flight had been delayed, plans had changed, schedules had shifted, and for a while frustration tried to settle into my heart. I wanted movement, progress, action. Instead I was waiting. As I sat there watching airplanes across the runway, God quietly reminded me of something. Waiting is not wasted when God is involved. Some of life's most important lessons are learned in places we never intended to stay. Waiting rooms, airports, hospital corridors, quiet seasons, unexpected delays. At the time we often see inconvenience. Later we recognize preparation. The large window revealed planes taking off, one after another. Each departure required timing, coordination, preparation. No pilot simply rushed onto the runway. Everything happened according to schedule, according to order, according to wisdom. And suddenly I realized God's timing works the same way. Not rushed, not delayed, perfect. The terminal remains a distant memory now, yet its lesson remains fresh. God knows when it is time to move. God knows when it is time to wait. And both seasons carry purpose. Tonight I remember that window seat, and I remember the peace God gave me there. The peace of trusting His timing, even when my own plans change. This evening, during a walk through a community park, I crossed a small wooden bridge spanning a quiet stream. The bridge wasn't large, just a simple structure connecting one side of the path to the other. Most people crossed it without stopping, yet tonight I paused in the middle. The water moved gently below. The trees reflected in the stream. The evening air felt calm, and God reminded me of something beautiful. Bridges exist because movement is possible. They connect what was separated. They create a way forward. And suddenly I thought about all the bridges God has built throughout my life. Bridges between fear and faith. Bridges between grief and healing. Bridges between uncertainty and trust. Bridges between where I was and where He was leading me. At the time, many of those crossings felt impossible. Yet God always provided a way. Sometimes through people, sometimes through opportunities, sometimes through circumstances I never expected. The bridge beneath my feet felt steady, reliable, strong. And it reminded me that God's guidance remains the same. The future may contain rivers I cannot cross alone. Yet God has never asked me to cross them alone. He provides what is needed exactly when the sun slowly disappeared beyond the trees. The evening grew quieter, and peace settled into my heart. Because every bridge God has provided in the past reminds me that He will provide whatever is needed for the journey ahead. The path continues, and so does His faithfulness.